Coming up next on Another View, the General Educational Development Test, better known as the GED. Have you or someone you know thought about dropping out of school and getting a GED as an alternative to a high school diploma? Is the GED the easy way out, or are there consequences to this form of education? Where do you go to study for the test? And would you be surprised to know that some high school graduates cannot pass it? As part of American Graduate, Let's Make It Happen, we'll examine the GED and tell you how a tough test is about to get even tougher. The truth about GED, right after this news from NPR.
Discussing the issues and celebrating the successes of the African American community. This is Another View.
And that's the kind of applause we hope we hear tonight at the Virginia Association of Broadcasters Awards Ceremony. Another View is up for an award, and we are just psyched here today. Hi, everybody. I'm Barbara Ham-Lee. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We hope that this time next week we'll be back with you with some good news. Another View has been on the radio. Will be a year July 15th. So it's not quite a year yet, and we are up for an award for our show on keeping African American males in school. So cross your fingers for us, cross your toes for us, and also for all of the other folks here at WHRV, WHRO-FM, and WHRO-TV who have been nominated for awards this evening. So at about 7 o'clock, we'll find out some good news, and that's exciting. Now, as I hope you know by now, WHRO is one of 25 public media stations nationwide selected by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to participate as a hub station in CPB's American Graduate Let's Make It Happen initiative. This initiative seeks solutions to ending the dropout crisis in our country and right here in Hampton Roads. WHRO is doing all it can to bring attention to the issues of dropouts and on-time graduation. Now, you may know someone who has made the decision to get their GED instead of graduating from high school with a diploma. For the next hour or so, we're going to explore why this alternative isn't necessarily the easy way out. In fact, according to the experts, 40% of high school seniors could not pass the GED if they had to take the test. And guess what? A new GED test is on the horizon, and it promises to be a lot tougher. Joining us to talk about the General Educational Development Test, or GED, is Debbie Hunley-Stukes, Director of Middle School Instruction for Chesapeake Public Schools. Hi, Debbie. Welcome to the program.
Glad to be here.
Thank you so much. Fontaine Ferebee-Johns, Adult Education Coordinator for Chesapeake Public Schools.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you? And Robert Phillips, who is a graduate, a GED graduate.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Now, Debbie, let me ask you a question off the bat, because Director of Middle School Instruction, I'm a little confused how that goes with GED.
I got it. Actually, for 6 years, I served as Program Administrator for Adult and Continuing Education for Chesapeake Public Schools, where I focused on the GED program and other adult education programs. Last year, I received a promotion.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was promoted to the Director of Middle Schools, which is a new position for Chesapeake Public Schools. But when I took that job, I was asked if I would hold on to the GED or adult education job for another year. So I kind of played two roles, wore many hats this past year, and didn't mind doing it because the GED or adult education program is very near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. But last night at our GED graduation, where we had over 100 graduates, I officially passed the torch.
and you passed the torch over to Fontaine?
Fontaine Ferebee-Johns and Miss Delphine Ricks. They will be continuing on with Chesapeake Public Schools Adult and Continuing Education Program.
Okay. So, Fontaine, tell me about last night's graduation. That's fantastic.
Last night's graduation was absolutely awesome. It was held at Grassfield High School. The building was packed to capacity, standing room only. Our oldest graduate was 82 years old.
Wow.
And boy, did we have a time in that building. Just exciting.
Now, do all school divisions provide graduation services for GED grads?
For the most part in our region.
In the Hampton Roads region?
Yes. We had the regions, the localities that provide graduation ceremonies.
Okay, that's good. Robert, you got your GED.
Yes.
And I'm curious about your story.
Okay.
You know, why did you drop out of high school?
Kind of got tired of school, pretty much. I saw my sister going through college. I saw her graduate through college. She had a 4.0, graduated from college, top of her class. She graduated second in her class, as a matter of fact. And when she got out of college, she had a hard time getting a job. And I said it in my mind, I don't want to do that, and I don't want to owe a whole bunch of people money. So it was kind of a mixture of a lot of different things. And at that time, I was kind of going through some things in my own life. So, you know, as a teenager, we all go through things.
But you were fairly close to finishing, weren't you?
Yes, I was in my 12th grade year. I actually had 4 credits to go. And I kind of just said, I don't want to do this no more. I just don't want to do it no more. I don't want to be bothered with school. Don't want to even go that route. I'll just get a job and because at that time you could really work yourself into a job. And if you had skills, if you had some type of understanding of how to do things, which I did, I was good with my hands, I was good with my mind, and you know, the Lord blessed me that way. So I just got a job, did well in it, and progressed. You know, and at that time in my life, and at those times in this country, you could do that without some paperwork behind you.
Give us a time frame when this was happening for you.
89.
Okay.
89.
Okay.
I was supposed to graduate high school in 89. So in 1989, I would have graduated in Winter Park, Florida. And I probably would have went on and did, because I didn't want to go into the military. My father was already in the military. So at that time, I was like, well, I'll just get a job. So my first job was really working at an airport. And I was making close to $700 a week.
Well, and for a almost high school graduate, that was good money.
That was good money. So I was looking at myself saying, I'm making this much money. She's having this problem getting a job. Why would I even want to go that route? You know, so I went ahead and I just started working and you know, things kind of led from one thing to another. I left, went overseas with my brother. He was in the military, came back. And eventually it got to the point here in the country that you had to have some type of paperwork. Nobody would hire you anymore just based on your skills or just based on a resume of you having jobs and things of that nature. They wanted some type of paperwork.
They always went back to where's the college degree, where's the high school diploma.
Yes, ma'am. So that was one of the things that happened to me. I actually became homeless at one point in time too. And so that was another struggle. And then not having the education was another struggle. And so I had my family telling me, go back to school. You're so smart. You're so educated. You can do what you want to do, those types of things. And eventually I kind of went back the first time. I went to the GED. I went to Portsmouth first, and then I ended up in Chesapeake, thank God. And when I went there that first year, that's where I kind of was still fighting and struggling to get back on my feet, really. And I was in between. I was actually staying in my own car. And and it just was just rough, and I just couldn't get it together. And finally, I just made it in my mind to say, this is what I want to do. If I want to get to a place, because I'd actually gotten another job. And when I got the job, the job through the economy went down in the tanks. And I was in that same position again. And I said to myself, I don't ever want to be in this position again. And so I had, during that time, mind you, I still had teachers. My math teachers, Miss K, Miss Ferebee-Johns, was still sending maybe a little text or something like that. And they were asking me, are you going to come back? You know, and I thought, wow, out of all the people, you know, they really cared about me to see that I wanted to, because they saw something in me, you know, maybe from the first interview that we had, because that was the first person that I met was Miss Ferebee-Johns. When I walked in there and I told her who I was, I told her what I wanted to do. And that next year I came back, and that's when everything kind of worked itself out. I just stayed constant in it. I came to every class that I could possibly come to, in some Saturday classes, you know, to get my mind prepared, and, you know, the homework and things of that nature. And I walked. It was so amazing, because it was like being a kid all over again, you know. I was walking down an aisle, and I had people, you know, screaming and yelling for me, and I'm like, I feel important now, you know. So
and how old were you when you got it?
Oh, wow. I was 39.
Wow.
39.
And you were 18 when you dropped out?
I was 18. So it was such a big difference in what I knew back then and how they did it now, as far as even the math, the English, the science, those types of things. The way that things are done now is totally different than the way I learned it back then. And so it was such a great, you know, I was like, wow, this is beyond me. But the teachers were really good at trying to keep you paced, trying to keep you, within yourself and not competing with anybody else that you saw that may get something easier than you. It was all about you. And so that's what I love about the program at Chesapeake.
Fontaine Ferebee-Johns, what did you see in Robert? He said that first interview, maybe there was something you saw in him.
I did. Robert walked into my office with a glow, with a determination that I have to get this done now. On that particular day, he was actually with his mother. And I talked with his mother, and I told her, I said, something about him. He's a very, very special person. He was determined at that point. And so I registered him for class, and he made me many promises that he was going to stick with us and that we were going to get it done. And then Robert disappeared. And so we were asking, well, where's Robert? Where's Robert? And we had a sort of difficult time connecting with Robert again. And when I finally connected with him again, he told me that he'd been going through some things. And he shared some of the obstacles that he'd faced since the last time I'd seen him. And he told me that he was coming back. And when he came back, he held to that promise. And it was just so rewarding the day that Robert completed that final test. Yeah.
I wish the audience could see the smile on your face. It is just incredible. Debbie Hunley-Stukes, kids, adults come to take the test. When you drop out, you're not allowed to take the GED before age 16. Is that right?
That is correct. Actually, the law says anyone under the age of 18 is not allowed to take the test unless you're in a special program, an approved alternative education program. And that program is called ISAEP, or Individual Alternative Education Program, for students in the high schools ages 16 to 18. And you must meet the criteria
so you have to be in
go.
a formal program.
Absolutely.
Then.
You have to be enrolled in a public school. And you have to meet the criteria to go into the program. And you have to take the official practice test and score a minimum of 410 points on each subtest. And you have to be reading on a 7.5 grade level or higher. And there's a CTE, or career component, that you also must be a part of in order to go into the program. Once you meet the criteria, you go into ISAEP, which is housed in our department right now. And these are students coming from all of the area high schools to one location. Once you meet the 410, then you work toward getting them 450 so that you can actually take the official test in that content area.
But those would be for students who are in that special program under the age of 18.
Correct. That is correct.
But the test itself, the GED, as the general public knows it, does not happen until 18 or older.
That is correct. Right? That is correct.
And the history of the GED, it was not started for high school dropouts, was it?
To my understanding, it wasn't. It was something having to do with those in the military, and
the research that we found was that the GED was actually started after World War II, so that the soldiers coming back from the war would not have to go back to high school because they took everybody. Exactly. But they could actually get a diploma so that they could move on with either higher education or a civilian job. And so forth. But today, who is the typical GED person?
Wow. They range from ages 18, the literature says 18 to 64, but they can range anywhere from, as we saw last night, 18 to 82. The majority of the students that we receive are between the ages of 22 and 34. That's your work age, They've dropped out for one reason or another, and they've decided that they've been out in the workforce and they've met the obstacles, like Robert. They've tried to advance on the job, and they could not without that piece of paper. They've decided to come back. A lot of them that come through the door, they're real embarrassed or ashamed because they feel like they should have gotten it when they had the opportunity to get it. One of the things that we found out in Chesapeake when I took this job in 2006, I did not know that there were, according to the census, there were 1.7 million, approximately, people in the state of Virginia without a high school diploma. And we dug a little deeper. We wanted to find out about Chesapeake. We found out that in the city of Chesapeake, there were approximately 22,550 at that time without a high school diploma. With those numbers, we went on a mission. We wanted to find out where they were, who were they, and how could we bring them back into the fold. We believed that once we got them in the door, we could get them. But we had to go out to them. So we started going to social services. We formed partnerships with the Department of Social Services. We went to Chesapeake Redevelopment and Housing Authority. We met with those in the housing projects. We went to City Hall. We met with different businesses, the economic development people. The name now escapes me, but when they do the trucks, the trash.
Oh,
am I looking for?
Public Works, that kind of thing.
Thank you. That's it. We formed a partnership with them. But different people we went after. Okay. We also went to the community, to the churches, who have been our greatest asset. We went in, we go to church services, and we speak to congregations to say, it's never too late to receive that second chance. People want this. There's a lot of them out there. But because they're ashamed and embarrassed, they want somebody to reach out to them and say it's okay to come back. And again, once we get them through the door, we got them.
You got them.
We got them.
Robert, I see you shaking your head there. Yeah. Tell me the support piece and the other classmates that you have. Would you guys also give each other support?
Yes.
I
have a few of my classmates' numbers still. We kind of talk to each other. Lance is one of the gentlemen that we kind of keep in touch with each other. But I would say that it was more like a family. It wasn't just classmates, because everybody between the ages, there's such maybe a great disparity. She said one may be 18, one may be 25, one may be my age. There was another woman in my math class. I think she was like maybe 45, 50, maybe a little bit in that area. But we kind of all talked to each other. We but we did. We encouraged each other. If one person would sit down and just put their head down, it's more like, come on, you can do this. And then you get up. And what I know, you know. And what you know, I know. So we're going to help each other.
Did you find that you guys were facing the same types of issues also, in terms of how you got into the situation to begin with? Or was that totally different?
Yes. Everybody has their own specific situations that they're going through. But generally, yes. And then, like Ms. Stukes was saying, you kind of come back and you feel embarrassed. And so you need that support to help you not feel embarrassed, that you're not an oddball, that you are special.
To talk a little bit about that relationship that they have. Last night at our graduation, again, we had over 100 that participated, but we gave out some special recognitions. I did some awards to some individuals because of some of the same things in terms of making the connections and being with, supporting their colleagues. There was one gentleman that's 69 years young, and up until 2 weeks ago, he was our oldest graduate. And he came into the program, I believe it was September 2011. And when he walked through the door, he shared with, I believe it was Fontaine, that he was on a mission. This is the gentleman right here that we have a picture on the little iPad. But he was on a mission because he had promised his mother at age 18 that he was going to get the GED. Well, in Chesapeake, we have this thing called the Gold Card. The Gold Card is for those individuals who have retired, that want to come back and take those community education courses. Well, he had a Gold Card. And he came in the door and he decided that he wanted to roll in the GED classes, but he wanted to use his Gold Card. Well, Fontaine had to let him know that you can't use the Gold Card. And it was really funny. I told the story last night. He shared with her, well, show me that in writing, because I came here for this and I want to get this. I made my mom a promise and I'm going to make sure I fulfill that. Well, when she explained to him that the programs were different and that he could register for the classes for a little $20 fee, then he said, okay, take my money. I'm ready because I have a goal. Well, he was determined. He knew that our date was June 21st. And he shared with Fontaine that everybody that he came in contact with from that point on, he was going to be their cheerleader and support. He wasn't going to leave anybody behind. Well, he was focused. He was driven. And again, he passed all parts of the test. And he would have been our oldest graduate. Well, he knew about Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore was he's the 82-year-old that people will read about and hear about him more a little bit over the weekend. Well, Mr. Moore was actually in our program 2009. He came in, and he was taking. We started the one test at a time. He was taking one test at a time, and he would make progress, but wasn't quite enough. Well, all of a sudden, we decided we were going to change some things a little bit because we knew that if we gave him the test, one test at a time, and if we would allow him to take the test, perhaps with one of our examiners, not in there necessarily with the 18 and the 25, he's 82. Okay, so when he took that first one and he passed it, he soared. But he got to the math. The math is the hardest test of the subtest, and Robert probably can attest to that.
Amen.
But it's the hardest one. And, I said that last night in the audience. The graduates, they all responded like, whoa, yes, it really is. We were worried. I was worried. I'm not sure about Fontaine because she's got that power of belief, and she's going and she's like, oh, he's going to get this. Well, I turned around. She called me one day and she said, you're not going to believe this, but there's a 69-year-old who passed, who came in to tutor the 82-year-old to ensure that he got it as well.
Y'all are going to make me cry.
Both of them walked
incredible.
Across the stage
that's
last
beautiful.
night.
Yeah.
They both did. Then you had an 19-year-old that was encouraging the others. She texted me and said, you got to see this. They were not only shouting together, they were praying together, they were reinforcing one another, and one sat outside the door to wait until the other had finished the test to see that he was successful,
was able to get there.
and was able to get through it.
Wow.
So that family unit, they do encourage one another. One of the things that I share with them all the time is that everybody has a story. We all have one. It may be good, bad, or indifferent, but we all have one. But we can write our own story. You're at the point where you can make that change. And it's up to you as to how it's going to end. Once you come through the door, you can start being the author of your own story.
You can take control.
You can take control. And they actually share their story, and they're there for support with one another. It's a beautiful thing.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call. Give us a call if you have your GED. Let us know your story. Let us know what it was like for you to be able to go back to school and to make that accomplishment. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Okay, Fontaine, let's get down to the test itself. I have never seen a GED test. So it's broken up, I understand, into parts.
5 subtests.
Okay.
You have your math, writing, the reading, the social studies, and science. And in order to be successful with your GED credential, you have to score an average of 450 on each one of the subtests.
Each subtest. Okay.
But so that amounts to 2250 overall. So if you have the bare minimum of 410, that means you're going to need a boost of about 40 points. So you got some tests you can score a cushion in. And let's say if you score a 500 in science, but you only score a 410 in math, that'll give you that balance that you need.
But 410 is the minimum.
410
that
is
you
the
have
minimum.
that you have to be able to score in order to pass the test. Do you take these subtests like back to back to back to back, or how does that work?
What we do in Chesapeake is that individuals take the subtest as they become ready to take the subtest, and we measure that by giving the students the official practice test. For those students who score a 450 on the official practice test, that's a pretty good indicator that they're ready to take the official GED test. We offer 2 classes in Chesapeake, reading and math. Sounds kind of strange when there are actually 5 subtests. But in the reading classes, the students get instruction in writing, science, social studies, and reading, because we've learned in Chesapeake that those 4 go hand in hand. If you're able to sharpen your reading skills, then you're going to be pretty successful overall in passing those 4 subtests. So then, of course, as Debbie said, the math is the hardest. So we set that aside to be all by its lonesome to get it done.
To really get focused on that. Now, can you take the test online?
No way. And anyone who tells you that you can take the test online, they're lying to you. In our particular region, Virginia Beach has a testing center. Chesapeake has a testing center. Portsmouth has one, and Norfolk has one. Okay. You must go in to one of those testing centers to take the GED exam.
Okay. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Naaman joins us from Portsmouth. Hi, Naaman. You're on the air.
Well, hello. How you doing?
Hey, doing great. Well, clearly our guests know you, Naaman. Tell the rest of us who you are.
Yes. How you doing, Miss Stukes?
Hey, Naaman. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks for calling in, because you definitely have a story to tell.
Oh,
what happened to you last night?
Oh, my. Listen, I'm at work right now, and I had a hard time getting away from work, getting back in town. But I am so excited for everyone that graduated on last night. Yes. I just wish that I could have been there. I was hoping to be a part of it, but I'm excited. I just wanted to tell the listeners that what Robert was talking about, it is absolutely true. Right. I mean, they stay on you, and they love you, and make sure that you get through it so that you can be able to walk away with the things that you wanted to have long ago. And
we find you if you go missing too, don't we, Naaman?
Oh, they do, and you do. I mean, call me. Miss Ferebee-Johns saw me and my wife out at the store, and she kind of got at me in a nice way, and so I ended up finishing. And I thank God for it.
Yeah.
Naaman, how long had you been out of high school before you went back?
Woo! I mean, I went back in 2009, and I have been out ever since 84.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for calling us. We really appreciate it, and congratulations to you.
Thank you so much. And keep up the good work, Ms. Stokes and Ms. Stokes and Ms. Ferebee-Johns.
You got it, my friend.
Congratulations to you, Robert.
Thank you.
Take care of Naaman.
God bless you.
Bye, Naaman.
All right, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Are you in the process of working towards your GED? Give us a call. Let's talk about your experience. And if you're just joining us, we're talking with, pardon me, but I didn't want to start coughing, Debbie Hunley-Stukes, who is the Director of Middle School Instruction now for Chesapeake Public Schools and has worked very closely with adult education. Fontaine Ferebee-Johns, Adult Education Coordinator for Chesapeake Public Schools, and Robert Phillips, who is a GED graduate. And this is all a part of our American Graduate Let's Make It Happen program today. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. In order, Debbie, to get ready to even think about taking the test, you have to do some preparatory work.
Absolutely.
How do you know where to go? How do you know who's telling you the truth and who's trying to rip you off?
And I'm glad you asked that question. We would encourage you to come into a center. Okay, go into one of your local centers. As Fontaine mentioned, there are GED or adult education offices in all of our surrounding cities. There are classes there that they can actually get you started. There are some programs online that will get you going in the right direction in terms of test preparation. And we want to make sure that they have the right address, because if you were to Google GED, you'll get a lot of things that's going to pop up. I'm reminded of the story of one young lady who did just that. She went in and it said something about free high school diploma. Take this test, get your certificate in the mail. She replied to that, and she thought she was getting a certificate and she was going to be finished. However, and she paid money. Over $400, as a matter of fact, is what they were charging her. And she wasn't in a position to pay all of it at one time, so she was making payments. Well, life happened and she couldn't continue. Took her into collections for something that was not even real anyway.
And it wasn't a real diploma.
Not a real test.
So you cannot buy your diploma?
No, not at all. You have to go into an official testing center. Mm-hmm. If they're interested in getting a practice test or getting some work, you can go to www.gedtest.org/prep. That is the official site where you can get information. But again, I would strongly encourage them to go into an adult education center. They will prepare them, or will give them actual practice tests and some samples that they can work with.
Mm-hmm. Fontaine, give us an example of a practice test question. What is it like? Is it multiple choice? Is it essay? Is it?
Well, both. Because on the writing test, there are multiple choice questions, but there's also an essay that has to be written. But then you have your math tests that they're multiple choice, but they're also alternate grid format questions as well as coordinate plane format questions.
Have mercy.
But the science, social studies, and reading components are all multiple choice, but it's not the type of multiple choice where you're just going to be able to look and read one sentence and then be able to answer the question. It's not that way. An example of a question, I have one here. Clay soil forms a fairly effective barrier against the movement of water. It also swells and shrinks significantly. As its water content changes. Sandy soil, in contrast, allows water to move freely and does not change shape as the water content varies. In which statement is the appropriate soil selected for its intended site? So then they give you a list of 5 choices. And you have to kind of know something about sandy soil versus clay soil in order to answer the question.
And let me just state for the record that she is given an example of a practice test question.
That's the practice test
because that test, no one knows what's actually on there, and we certainly would not be able to share that.
Does that test change each time? Like if Robert's class takes the test one year, is it different the next year?
Well,
or the next session?
There are different versions of the test. And so let's say if Robert came in and he took the social studies test and he scored 400. Well, Robert went into some tutoring sessions and came back 3 months later and wanted to take that same test. We would give him a test, but he would not get the exact same test that he had before. So there are different versions of the test. And speaking of different versions, the test itself is going to change in 2014.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
It's going to change, and it's going to be more rigorous than it is now. There's this misnomer out there. People think that GED is the easy way out. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. And being the former chief examiner for Chesapeake Public Schools, or the city of Chesapeake, I can tell you that if I took that test today, or if you took that test today, if Ms. Ferebee-Johns took that test today, we would all have some challenges if we haven't been in a class over the past few years and working in those areas. So I say that to say that it's not for those that are in high school and they say, I'm just sick of this. I'm leaving. I'm just going to get my GED and be done with it.
Because you hear that a lot.
All the time.
Kind of, I'll just get my GED.
All the time. It is not that simple. And when students come in, they see that it's not that simple. With the ISAP program, which is that high school program that we talked about, while the students have an opportunity to go into this program and get their GED, the goal of the ISAP program is to return them back to the high school setting, believe it or not, because we know when you put a GED and you weigh it with a high school diploma in terms of your economic value, you probably will get more with the high school diploma. So they try to send them back to the high school
so that they can get that
absolutely,
diploma.
Absolutely. Now, I will tell you, most students, once they get it, they're not going back to the high school because they're done. They're done. We also, on the flip side of that, we tell them that 98% of the colleges and universities would welcome those with a GED. Okay, so there are some advantages and disadvantages.
Let me ask you this also too, because some people think if you get your GED, you can just get any job like you can with a high school diploma, and you can go into the military. Is there a difference?
Well, we found it with the research. Actually, you can go to GED.org to find this information, but 96% of companies accept applicants with a GED.
Okay.
In the military, there are certain branches that will actually accept the GED as well. You may have to make a certain cut score in order to get in, depending on the branch. And we've also found that there are better employment opportunities. Robert talked about that a little bit. With the economy being the way that it was over the past few years, a lot of people with high school diplomas were laid off.
With college degrees
and college degrees, they were laid off.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have those individuals back in the workforce and competing, and then you have those who didn't have anything, a high school diploma, a GED, and they were in there as well. So a lot of people were coming back that may have not had the high school diploma or the GED, but they were working, and when they lost their job, they found out that the competition was more stiff. So now they're coming back to us trying to get that GED so they can be more competitive in the workforce.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Emma joins us from Chesapeake. Emma, I think you have a story to tell us, don't you?
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air, Emma.
Oh, yes. I am the wife of that 82-year-old man.
Hi, Miss Emma.
Fantastic.
Hi, Miss Emma Glory.
That's right. We in our 61st year of marriage.
Oh,
and
that's
I would like to
fantastic.
thank this department for helping him build his self-esteem. Although he was a very successful businessman in New York, and he afforded us a good life and educated both of his children. And they both are successful in their careers today. And I just want to I think Miss Stukes, I'll remember her as long as I live.
Oh,
and his teacher, Mrs. Randolph.
Yes.
Although he was successful, he always had that inferiority complex that he did not have his high school degree. And I just want to thank everybody for encouraging me.
Oh, Miss Emma, thank you so much for calling us. So he really felt that there was something missing in his life because he did not.
Yes, he did. And he always wanted better for his children. Yeah, I mean, he strived hard. He worked hard to see that his children got a good education. And when they both left graduate school, they did not owe anybody one penny. Because of his hard work. And my son was deciding what he wanted. He says, do what you're going to do and get it over with. You know, no going out and to get a job and then decide. So he was, I'm just very grateful for this department for encouraging him.
Miss Emma, let me ask you this. Was the whole family there last night?
Well, my daughter and his granddaughter, who just graduated from Indian River with honors, but my son was working and he couldn't get there, but I was there in my wheelchair.
Yes.
At first I wasn't going, but my daughter insisted that I attend.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for listening to us today, too. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Miss
And
Emma.
please tell your husband congratulations from all of us here at Another View.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, you take care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. You know, I'm watching you all's faces. This is more than just educating these people. It's a mission, Debbie.
Oh, it is a mission. It is a mission because, again, everybody has a story. And life throws you some curveballs sometimes, you know, and people are concerned about why they dropped out or they didn't get it. And we're sending the message. We really don't care, really, about why you dropped out, but we really want to help you get it. And there's not a person who has walked through that door who didn't really want that thing. And when you see them and you know what has happened in their lives, you can't help but feel that love and that passion and that desire, and you try to encourage them to make it and let them know that they can do this. It's never too late to receive a second chance. It's not just a tagline for us. We mean that. We really mean that.
Fontaine, let me ask you, what is the average amount of time that it takes for someone to start the process and then actually get through? Is there an average?
You know, I don't really feel that there is an average because we've had individuals to come in. We have some individuals that have been with us maybe since Debbie came in.
Those that we recognized last night, some of them had been there since the very beginning when I got there 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
So they would start, stop,
or some of them they would start and they would stay, but it would take them a little bit longer to get it. One of the things that we found out, and Fontaine, I'm just going to piggyback on what her question that she's asked you, but one of the things that I found out when I got there, the test was administered on Saturdays only. It's a 7.5-hour test.
Oh,
okay?
for the one subtest?
The whole exam was 7 hours. It would take you 7.5 hours or 7.5 hours to do the whole exam on one Saturday. My first Saturday experience, I sat there and I thought, there's no way. Being a former principal, knowing how students test, there's no way that if we're going to say from 18 to 64, that the average person can come in there and just sit for that.
And that's to take the 5 different sections.
Take
and
the
that's 7.5 hours.
That's right. So we said, okay, we're not going to do the whole day. We're going to we did the whole day, but we also added a 2-day test. So we took the test and we divided it into a Tuesday, Wednesday. You took one half Tuesday and the other half on Wednesday. Well, then we went a little bit further for those individuals that have been there for a long time to say, maybe you don't need to take the whole test at one time. Let's just do one content area. And once you take it, you never have to see it again. So you can focus on the next subject area. And that, I think, had a lot to do with our success. We've tested over 3,000 residents since 2007. Up until today's date. They actually came in and took the test. But again, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we changed a little bit to kind of meet their needs.
Real quick question for you also. Is there some sort of accreditation for people who are teaching practice tests or teaching to prepare the preparatory tests?
And remember when you asked the question before, I said I encourage them to come into a center, an official GED testing center or an adult education program, because we try very hard to get teachers that are certified teachers in the state of Virginia. When I came, there were some, there used to be this little feeling, it's just adult ed. Oh, anybody can go in and anybody can tutor. Well, no, they can't. So we were on a mission to get those that were certified. So many of our teachers work full-time during the day in the public schools, and they come and work for us in the evening. If they're not working for us in the evening, and if they're during the day, then they're retired educators who held on to their certificate and they updated it as needed so that we could make sure that it was a qualified person teaching that content area.
Robert, we only have a couple minutes left. What would you say first to a high school student who gets 4 credits away from graduating and says, I'm not going to do this?
My first thoughts would just tell them to be patient. Things may seem a certain way at one point, but from my point of view, if they look a little bit further down the line and don't be so short-sighted. I know it's hard for a teenager sometimes to not be short-sighted, but just don't be so short-sighted that further down the line you'll see the value of that education going through 1 through 12 and then getting your high school diploma. But for a person who, like myself, didn't do that, then yes, get into a GED. I specifically say Chesapeake. I'm biased about that. But that's because they can talk about the numbers, but what it really boils down to is that every teacher in that facility loves what they do. And that love just so emanates to us that we end up loving math and history and English, and we want to succeed because they want us to succeed. And a lot of times people don't get that at home. Some people don't have a family structure for that. So they're our family. So that's what I mean by we all become one family. So when they ask me, Robert, do you want to do this? Do you want to speak with this? Or do you want to do this as far as no complaints? There. I'm right there because you were my support for me. So yes, I wholeheartedly,
After you got your GED, was it easier for you to get a job?
I won't say that it was easier. I was more confident. And with everything, even when I went back to college,
that's a very big point.
Because one of the things that I think that I spoke about, even when because I had to get the
and you are in college right now. We did not get to that point.
Yes, I'm at TCC.
Okay.
Water, yes. TCC. I was studying for my business administration. I want to go through and get my MBA. So there were certain things that it encouraged. If you get your GED, because like they were saying, the test is not easy. and the homework is not easy. You're trying to work. You're trying to do all the things that you're trying to do within a normal life and study and perform at the best that you can. If you get that, I feel like that you can accomplish anything in this life if you get your GED, if that's the route that you're going to go, because it takes so much to get there that by the time you get there and you've accomplished it, it's almost like there's nothing I can't do anymore. Whatever I put my mind to, I know I can accomplish it.
It's fantastic. Okay, you got about 30 seconds to give us a closing
30 seconds to say, you know, if you're out there and you don't have it, no one's going to judge you. Again, we don't care that you didn't get it. Just remember that little tagline is never too late. We will hold your hand. I promise you, if you just walk through the door. Walk through the door. We can take it from there. Okay. No one will again judge you, and there's no need to be embarrassed anymore. We're all on the same playing field.
And give us that website one more time.
The website, if you would like to go to get more information, you can go to www.gedtest.org/prep.
Prep, okay. And you have the last 20 seconds.
I have the last 20 seconds to say, please, if there's anyone out there that needs a GED, please don't hesitate to call.
Is there a phone number?
Yes. Call 757-482-5680. And regardless of what locality you live in, we'll get you pointed in the right direction.
Okay, give us that number one more time.
757-482-5680.
Okay, and on that note, that's Debbie Hunley-Stukes, Fontaine Ferebee-Johns, and Robert Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about the GED. And we'll be right back.
To fight, to conquer, to thrive, I came to win, to survive, to prosper, to rise, to fly.
And welcome back. Boy, what a feel-good show today. 3 local teens are rapping their way to the career of their dreams. The group D.M.B. is made up of 3 cousins who've only been performing together for about 3 years. But they've already made their way onto the national stage by beating out their competitors and landing a spot on BET's popular show 106 & Park. Our Lisa Godley recently sat down with Marquis, Trey, and Ace, also known as D.M.B., as they talked about their music, their family, and their rise to the top.
They started out as PlayStation, went solo for a while, and decided to regroup 3 years ago under the name D.M.B. 15-year-old Kedar Mitchell, who goes by the name Marquis, came up with the group's new 3-letter name. I asked Marquis what it means.
What does DMB stand for?
DMB stands for Dem Money Boys.
DMB has 3 members in all. In addition to Marquis, there are his 2 cousins. The youngest, 15-year-old Kamari Gordon, a.k.a. Trey.
I love everything about rapping and the music, but performance is probably my favorite thing to do.
Yeah. The oldest member of the group, 16-year-old Dante Mitchell, goes by the name Ace.
Everybody bring their own talent to the table. Like, it's something special about each one of us.
But Trey and Ace give Marquis the credit for creating a lot of the beats the group raps to.
I just come up with a lot of stuff because I'm just a different person. When they come up with a topic, I can already have a chorus with it because I keep my chorus in my head.
Trey says once he hears the beat, he usually knows just where to take it.
And I feel like I want to talk about a girl, I write about a girl. If I want to talk about, having fun, that's what I write about.
The fact that they're cousins would seem like a natural reason for Marquis, Trey, and Ace to work together. But their union came when the economy forced all 3 families under one roof. A transition which brought about some heated moments for the teens, but they eventually found solace in hip-hop.
Where the girls at? All the girls put their hands in the air. Oh man, she my dream girl.
The fellas' special talent rose to the surface about a year ago when they competed against 25 other acts and earned a spot on the popular BET show 106 in Park.
Everybody else got sent home. We really didn't know what was going on, but when we performed again, then he said he's gonna call us back, and we end up on BET.
Ace's father, Troy Mitchell, a rapper in his own right who has performed on 2 of Timbaland's albums, guides D.M.B on their journey to the top. He says he stresses to his son and nephews that dedication to their craft is key.
It's very time consuming. Like, you got to cancel things that you want to do to have fun in life. You got to set a lot of that aside. Take this serious because, these opportunities don't come all the time. I try to teach them from the experiences I've had with major stars and being around major stars. Try to teach them that. I also try to teach them, to be well-groomed in the public eye. Be very careful of how you carry yourself around people in the public eye because you never know who's watching you.
And his young proteges seem to get it.
It's always somebody waiting for that same spotlight that you have, so you got to keep working hard.
They offered this advice to others who have similar desires.
Always reach for your dreams, and whenever you reach a downfall or a bad position, work harder, get through it, because at the end of the day, after the bad comes the good.
For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
She got my picture on her wall, talking to the picture like I'm there, but I'm not there at all.
All about working hard for the things that you want in life. Time now for things to view and do in Hampton Roads.
You will be my Saturday love.
Are you a first-time home buyer? Do you have questions about paying your mortgage? For answers to these questions and more, join the Urban League of Hampton Roads at a first-time home buyers class. They can help with budget management, rental counseling, and much more. The class will be held tomorrow, Saturday, June 23rd at 9 a.m. It's on 1300 Thomas Street in Hampton. Call 627-0864 to learn more. Join the Men of Covenant Community Church as they discuss how to be a better man. There will be food, worship, and a panel discussion also tomorrow, June 23rd at 8:30 a.m. at the Covenant Community Church in Suffolk. For more information, visit covenantcommunitychurchva.org. The Cultural Alliance of Hampton Roads presents their 25th annual June Jazz Concert on Sunday, June 24th, starting at 3:30 at the Chamberlain Waterfront Veranda at Fort Monroe in Hampton. The concert features recording artist Robin King. Tickets are limited. Call 889-9479 to reserve your seat. The Hampton Roads 7 Cities Pro-Am will be hosting family networking conversations with community leaders throughout the summer. On June 30th, Bishop Courtney B. McBath talks about how to live a spiritual life. The community conversations are at 1 p.m. at Maury High School in Norfolk. Contact Lorraine Flood at 646-0497 for more information. And I hope to see you tomorrow, June 23rd at the Blueberry Jam in Wakefield. I'll be serving as your MC. It's an all-day celebration of local foods, musicians, and artists, and it's for the entire family. Visit www.druryfarms.com to find out more. These and other events are on our website, anotherviewradio.org, and that's our show for today. Next week, we'll be talking about dating after divorce. With more than half of all marriages ending in divorce, there are a lot of people out there who are dating again after years of being off the market. So what's changed and what should you look out for? It should be a really lively conversation. For producer Lisa Godley, audio engineer Perry Smith, Shimon Tabron, who answered our phones, I'm Barbara Ham Lee. We'll be think about us tonight at the VAB Awards, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday at noon for Another View.